Let us begin with a scene that plays out in 1,000 airports, 1,000 immigration offices, 1,000 lonely apartments in cities that were never meant to be home. A man, let us call him Ahmed, sits in a cramped studio flat in a suburb of Melbourne, staring at a rejection email from his 12th job application, and he feels the weight of his entire existence pressing down on him. Not because he is unqualified. He holds a master's degree in engineering from a respected university in Cairo, but because the system does not recognize his credentials, does not trust his experience, does not see him as anything more than a foreigner with an accent that marks him as other. And he is not alone, because millions of immigrants around the world face this exact same wall, this invisible barrier that separates the local from the foreign, the familiar from the unfamiliar. And the tragedy is not that the wall exists. Walls always exist in some form, but that Ahmed has been trying to break through it with the wrong tools, with pure merit, with hard work, with the naive belief that if he just proves himself, the door will open. But the door does not open, because the door is not a door. It is a perception, a bias, a set of assumptions that operate below the level of conscious awareness. And to succeed abroad as a foreigner, you must understand that the rules of the game are not the rules you grew up with. The rules are different, the rules are unwritten, and the rules are enforced by people who don't even know they are enforcing them. And the first step to succeeding is not to work harder, but to see the game for what it is, to understand the psychology of the native, to decode the hidden signals that determine who gets ahead and who stays behind. And this is the brutal truth that no immigration brochure will tell you. You are not judged by your resume, you are judged by your legibility, your ability to be understood, your ability to make the native feel comfortable. And comfort is not a function of competence, it is a function of similarity, of predictability, of belonging. And the foreigner is, by definition, a stranger to belonging. So you must learn to become legible, to translate yourself into a language that the native can read, to perform a version of yourself that is accessible, even if that performance feels like a betrayal of your authenticity. And this is the paradox of the successful immigrant. You must become a bridge between two worlds, and a bridge is not quite one thing and not quite another, but a bridge is essential, a bridge is valuable, and a bridge can carry the weight of others, and that is your power. Now let us dissect the psychology of the native, because to succeed abroad, you must understand the fears and desires of the people who hold the keys to your future. And the native is not evil, not malicious, not deliberately exclusionary, but the native is also not neutral, because the native operates within a framework of implicit biases that favor the familiar and distrust the unfamiliar. And the native will tell you that they value diversity, that they welcome talent, that they are open-minded. And they may even believe this, but belief is not the same as behavior, and behavior is driven by the limbic system, the ancient part of the brain that responds to threat with a microsecond of hesitation. And that hesitation is the difference between an interview that goes well and one that goes poorly, between a promotion that materializes and one that does not, between a social invitation that is extended and one that is not. And the native does not even know they are hesitating. They attribute the hesitation to something else, a lack of cultural fit, a sense that the candidate is not quite right, a vague feeling that something is off. And these vague feelings are the hidden arbiters of your fate. So your task is not to eliminate the hesitation, because you cannot, but to anticipate it, to prepare for it, to disarm it before it has a chance to take root. And you do this by becoming hyper-legible, by signaling that you understand the unspoken rules, by showing that you are not a threat, but an asset, by demonstrating that you have already done the work of translation. And this is why the most successful immigrants are not necessarily the most brilliant, but the most attuned, the ones who have spent countless hours observing, learning, and adapting,
the ones who have studied the native culture not as a tourist, but as an anthropologist, the ones who have mastered the art of reading the room, of mirroring the gestures, of adopting the tone, of making the native feel that they are not speaking to a foreigner, but to a fellow traveler. And this is not deception, it is diplomacy. It is the art of building bridges, and bridges are not built with steel, but with empathy, with patience, with the willingness to meet the other where they are.
Let us introduce a character you have not met before. A woman we will call Elena, who was a 39-year-old physician from Buenos Aires who moved to London with her husband and 2 children, who was a respected cardiologist in her home country, who now works as a medical researcher at a fraction of her previous salary, who is grateful for the opportunity but deeply frustrated by the ceiling she has hit. Because the British medical system requires her to retrain, to resit exams, to prove herself all over again. And she has done all of this. She has passed the exams, she has completed the training, and yet she is still overlooked for senior roles, still relegated to the background, still treated as a junior colleague by doctors who have half her experience. And she is not angry. She is too tired to be angry, but she is puzzled because she does not understand what she is doing wrong. She does not understand why her British colleagues, who are less qualified, are promoted ahead of her. And she is asked for feedback, and she has received vague, well-meaning responses about communication style and leadership presence, which are code words for the unspoken. And she does not realize that her communication style is not the problem. The problem is that she is communicating in a style that is not recognized as authoritative. Because authority is not a universal language, it is a cultural construct. And in the British workplace, authority is conveyed through understatement, through humor, through the appearance of effortlessness. And Elena, who is passionate, who is direct, who speaks with the intensity of someone who has saved lives in a chaotic emergency room, is perceived as aggressive, as too emotional, as not a team player. And the tragedy is that she is none of these things. She is simply speaking a different dialect of authority, and the British ear does not understand her dialect, so it dismisses her. And she is trapped in a cycle of miscommunication that is neither her fault nor the fault of her colleagues, but is the fault of a system that has not learned to listen to different voices. And this is the reality of succeeding abroad. You must learn not only to speak the language, but to speak the dialect of power, to adopt the cadence, the vocabulary, the non-verbal cues that signal confidence and competence. And this is exhausting, this is unfair, but it is also essential, because the alternative is to remain invisible. So how does Elena begin to succeed? She does not rage against the system, she studies it, she deconstructs it, she learns to play the game not as a foreigner, but as a strategist. She starts to watch her British colleagues with the eye of a scientist, noting how they phrase their disagreements, how they structure their presentations, how they build coalitions in meetings. And she discovers that the British style is not better or worse, but it is different. It is indirect, it is self-deprecating, it is allergic to overt displays of emotion. And she begins to adapt, not by suppressing her passion, but by translating it, by framing her intensity as enthusiasm, by using humor to soften her directness, by learning to say, "I wonder if we might consider," instead of "we should do this." And the shift is subtle, but it is profound, because her colleagues begin to see her differently. They begin to see her not as a foreigner who is trying too hard, but as a colleague who is insightful, who is collaborative, who understands the culture. And this is the turning point, when the native starts to see you as one of them, not in identity, but in behavior, not in origin, but in orientation. And this is not assimilation in the sense of giving up your identity, it is bilingualism in the sense of being able to speak 2 languages of power. And once Elena becomes bilingual, she begins to be invited to the meetings that matter. She begins to be included in the conversations that precede decisions. She begins to be seen as a leader. And she does not forget where she came from. She still speaks Spanish at home. She still cooks Argentine food. She still values her heritage. But she has learned that in the British workplace, she must wear a different costume. And the costume is not a mask, it is a tool. And tools are not betrayals.
They are instruments of effectiveness.
Now let us examine the financial dimension of succeeding abroad. Because money is not just money. It is a measure of your integration, a signal of your value, a source of security and anxiety. And the immigrant often faces a paradoxical situation. They are earning more than they would in their home country, but they are spending more, they're saving less. They are living in a state of financial precarity that is invisible to their native colleagues. Because the native colleague has family nearby, has a support network, has savings that were inherited or accumulated over generations. And the immigrant has none of these things. So the immigrant must be more disciplined, more strategic, more aggressive in their financial planning. And this is not a matter of greed, it is a matter of survival. Because the immigrant cannot afford to rely on the safety nets that are available to the native. So the immigrant must build their own safety net, must save more, must invest more, must diversify their income streams. And this is a burden, but it is also an advantage, because the immigrant who survives the financial challenges abroad becomes more resilient, more resourceful, more capable than their native peers. And this resilience is a form of wealth that cannot be measured in dollars. And Elena understood this. She began to save aggressively. She invested in property. She started a small side business. She built a network of financial advisors. And over time, she became not just secure, but wealthy. Not because she earned more, but because she saved more. Because she understood that the financial rules of the game are different for the immigrant, and she played accordingly. Let us also consider the social dimension of succeeding abroad. Because success is not only about career and money, it is about belonging, about friendship, about community. And the immigrant often struggles with loneliness, with isolation, with the sense of being an outsider in a world that does not welcome them. And this loneliness is not a weakness, it is a signal that you need to build a new tribe, to find people who understand your journey, who speak your language of experience. And this tribe is not always the one you left behind. It is the one you build in your new country, the one that consists of other immigrants, other outsiders, other people who are also navigating the complex terrain of being foreign. And this tribe is a source of strength, of support, of practical advice, of emotional sustenance. And Elena found her tribe in a group of immigrant women, doctors and lawyers and engineers, who met once a month to share their struggles and their victories. And in that group, she found validation, she found hope, she found the courage to keep going. And this is the secret of the successful immigrant. They do not try to do it alone. They build a network of support that sustains them through the inevitable setbacks. And they also build bridges to the native community. They cultivate friendships with natives who are open-minded, who are curious, who are willing to cross the cultural divide. And these friendships are not just social, they are professional, they are political, they are the pathways to opportunities that would otherwise be closed. And the immigrant who isolates themselves is the immigrant who fails, because success abroad is not an individual achievement, it is a collective enterprise, a web of relationships that lift you up and carry you forward. Now let us address the psychological toll of succeeding abroad. Because the cost is high, the cost is hidden, and the cost is often paid in ways that are not immediately visible. And the immigrant experiences a constant low-grade anxiety, a sense of being a stranger in a strange land, a fear of being found out, of being exposed as not belonging. And this anxiety is not irrational. It is a response to a real condition, a condition of being perpetually vulnerable to the whims of immigration policy, to the judgments of employers, to the biases of a system that does not fully see you. And Elena felt this anxiety deeply. She felt it every time she applied for a visa extension, every time she was passed over for a promotion, every time she was asked, "Where are you really from?" And she learned to manage this anxiety, not by suppressing it, but by acknowledging it, by giving herself permission to feel the fear without letting it control her. And she developed coping mechanisms. She practiced mindfulness, she went to therapy, she journaled, she exercised. She built a life that was not defined by her professional status. And this is the key to psychological survival abroad. You must not anchor your identity to your career, because your career is fragile, it is contingent, it is subject to forces beyond your control. And if your identity is anchored to it, you will be tossed about by every wave. But if your identity is anchored to something deeper, to your values, to your relationships, to your sense of purpose, then you can weather any storm. And Elena anchored herself to her family, to her children, to her love of medicine, and these anchors held her steady when everything else was uncertain. Let us also consider the generational dimension of succeeding abroad, because you are not only building a life for yourself, you are building a foundation for your children. And your children will grow up in a different world, a world where they speak the language fluently, where they understand the culture intuitively, where they are not marked as foreign. And this is a gift, but it is also a loss, because your children will not fully understand your sacrifice. They will not fully appreciate the journey you made. They will take for granted the opportunities you created. And this is natural, this is healthy, but it can also be painful, because you will feel a sense of disconnection, a sense of being left behind by your own family. And Elena felt this deeply. She felt it when her daughter corrected her English, when her son laughed at her accent, when her children became more British than she would ever be. And she had to learn to let go, to accept that her children's future was different from her own, to take pride in the fact that they were thriving, even if it meant they were becoming strangers to her. And this is the bittersweet truth of immigrant success. You succeed so that your children can become something you will never be. And you must find peace in that. You must find meaning in that, because that is the ultimate purpose of your journey.
Now let us examine the strategic approach to succeeding abroad, the specific tactics that separate the successful immigrant from the struggling one. And the first tactic is visibility. You must be seen, you must be known, you must be present in the rooms where decisions are made. And this is not about arrogance, it is about presence. It is about showing up consistently, about contributing your ideas, about building relationships with key people. And Elena made a deliberate effort to be visible. She volunteered for high-profile projects, she joined committees, she spoke at conferences, and over time, her name became associated with excellence. And the second tactic is adaptability. You must be willing to pivot, to learn new skills, to take on roles that you would not have considered in your home country, because the market is different, the opportunities are different, and the successful immigrant is the one who does not cling to a fixed idea of their career, but who is flexible, who is curious, who is willing to reinvent themselves. And Elena started as a medical researcher, but she eventually moved into healthcare management, where her bilingual skills and her cross-cultural experience became assets rather than liabilities. And the third tactic is persistence, because you will face rejection, you will face disappointment, you will face setbacks that make you want to give up. And the successful immigrant is the one who does not give up, who keeps applying, keeps networking, keeps pushing, not because they are naive, but because they know that success is a numbers game, a matter of persistence, a matter of staying in the game long enough to win. And Elena faced more than 50 rejections before she found her first job in London. And she told herself that each rejection was a lesson, a data point, a step toward the right opportunity. And she was right. Let us also address the emotional dimension of succeeding abroad, because you will feel lonely, you will feel homesick, you will feel like giving up, and these feelings are not signs of failure, they are signs of being human. And you must learn to sit with them, to accept them, to give them space without letting them take over. And Elena learned to honor her emotions, to allow herself to miss her family, to grieve the loss of her old life, to feel the sadness of being far from home. And she found that when she allowed herself to feel the sadness, it did not destroy her, it passed through her, and she was still standing. And this is the resilience of the immigrant, the ability to feel deeply and still keep moving, the ability to acknowledge the pain and still choose to act. And this resilience is not something you are born with, it is something you cultivate day by day through the small acts of courage that constitute your life abroad.
Now, let us tell the final chapter of Elena's story, because she is not a tragedy, she is a triumph. And after 7 years of struggle, of adaptation, of persistence, she was offered a senior leadership role at a major London hospital, a role that recognized her expertise, her experience, her unique perspective, and she accepted it, not with arrogance, but with humility, with gratitude, with a deep sense of purpose. And she now mentors other immigrant doctors, helping them navigate the complex terrain she once navigated. And she tells them, you are not less than they are. You are more, because you have had to work harder, learn faster, adapt more, and this has made you stronger. And your strength is your advantage, not your weakness. And she has found peace, not because her struggles are over, but because she has learned to see her struggles as the source of her power. And she has built a life that is not perfect, but is authentic, not easy, but is meaningful, not without loss, but is full of gain. And she has succeeded abroad, not by becoming someone else, but by becoming more fully herself, by integrating the different parts of her identity into a coherent whole, by being both Argentine and British, both immigrant and leader, both foreign and at home. And this is the ultimate success, not the title, not the salary, not the recognition, but the ability to stand in two worlds and be fully present in both. So here is your final non-negotiable instruction. If you are an immigrant, or if you are planning to become one, you must not wait for the world to welcome you. You must build your own welcome. You must become a bridge. You must learn the language of power. You must build your tribe. You must anchor your identity in something deeper than your career. You must persist through the rejection. You must honor your emotions without being ruled by them. And you must remember that your foreignness is not a flaw. It is a gift. It is a perspective that the native can never have. It is a resilience that the native has never needed to develop. And it is this gift, this perspective, this resilience that will ultimately set you apart, that will make you indispensable, that will transform you from a stranger into a leader. So tonight, you will write down 3 things that make you unique as an immigrant, 3 strengths that you have developed through your journey, 3 skills that you can offer that the native cannot. And you will commit to using these strengths, to leveraging these skills, to building the life that you deserve, not despite being foreign, but because of it. Because your journey has given you a depth of character, a breadth of experience, a capacity for adaptation that is rare and valuable. And you will not hide it. You will not apologize for it. You will own it. You will celebrate it. And you will let it be the foundation of your success.